know, I'm not mad at you if you call your job slavery, or actually working slave. If you call it slavery, I'm not mad at you, because that's what it's become. These days, really, that's what it's become. And the feeling, and this is just freestyling it from the hip, more and more people are getting hip to the fact that they're being shortchanged on these jobs. I mean, when you really think about it, like, I don't know if I could say parents or grandparents, depending on what your age is, you who are listening to this. Like, there was a time when, of course, people wish they could be free and had money and could do anything they want when they wake up and just be free. But there was a time when people took pride in their work, and their work was their identity, but they took pride in it. If they worked on the railroad, they were proud of it. If they were a carpenter or a mason, they were proud of it. If they were the person that helped to build a bridge, they had their lunchbox and they were happy going to work, and they had their wife, if they had a wife, and the wife filled up the food in the lunchbox and kissed her on the cheek. And it wasn't always like that for everybody, but it's not like that now. It's not like that now. There's a feeling that these jobs are just sucking your soul, and you get no respect, really real respect. Like when you have a crew of people, and it doesn't just have to be manual labor. It could be, we have more computer jobs going on and office jobs. I understand that. And after the C-19 a couple of years ago, it shifted a lot of things. A lot of office buildings are empty now. People had to work at home, and that changed everything. But the work culture, again, it wasn't like a person didn't enjoy a day off, but you took pride in what you did, and you felt like a valuable asset to the community. When you'd wave at your neighbors when you were getting ready to go to work, if you had different hours than them, and they pointed to you, that's Mr. So-and-so, and the kids would, speak to you, Mr. So-and-so, Mrs. So-and-so, and it was community, it was respect. But community has been torn down, the sense of community, and society in general is just so decadent. Dog eat dog, nobody wants to help each other. I mean, yes, we do have good people, but we got too many evil eyes out here. And when it comes to work, it's not fulfilling. You can be fulfilled at one point, I feel, especially in America. Here we had racism, we had inflation, we had wars, we had drugs, we had all those things. But even still, before, okay, I was born in 63, so I can't really speak on the 60s because I was in single digit ages. I wasn't aware about the pride of a man going to work or a woman going to work, which there were more men, I would believe, because the traditional roles of a woman staying home and taking care of the kids and taking care of the home, which really, that deserves the utmost respect, because that's a job that there are no hours where you go to work and come home. That's a 24-hour thing. Keeping the home clean, keeping the clothes clean, feeding the kids, getting them ready to go to school, having them come back home, helping them with the homework. Nah, that's then you have your husband come home, or your man. I'm saying on a traditional level. He comes home and, he wants a little loving. And you worked hard all day and you're so tired. You're like, oh God, take it. I'm not saying it's that bad. But these days, like the title says, working hard isn't setting you free. Productivity is the new slavery. And it's not new. It's been going on. So we have a term called quiet quitting. And I spoke about that on my former channel that was taken down. You go to work, but you do the least amount of work. You're not going there to perform and do well and over and above. Nah. You're getting paid this amount. This is what you get. And this is what people say to their employers or supervisors. I'm only giving you so much and I'm out of here. And I can understand why, because these jobs will demand more and more and more. And the more you give, the more they'll take. But that paycheck is not going up any higher. And even if you pull back a little bit in your efforts, inflation is not going to stop. The housing market is not going to drop all of a sudden. The American dream, that's exactly what it is, a dream. You know, I remember a time when most people felt if they put the pedal to the metal that they had a shot of purchasing a home. It may not be a mansion, but when they got serious, I know many people who got serious and worked extra and saved extra, and they came up with that money for that down payment. They made sure their credit was right. You have other things involved with purchasing a home. You know, the insurance and the taxes and different things. And the whole process, which is always something that can fall through. There's always something that the owner who owns it, who's selling it, has to do also. And you have to work together. And when you finally achieve it, it's like, all I got to do is pay this mortgage and I'm good. And mortgages weren't impossible. Times change. But I remember my parents, when they purchased the home in September of 1968, I was 5.5 years old. What was it like? $13,000? Now, in 2026, can you buy a brand new car for $13,000? It's hard enough to get a used car. You can get a jalopy or something from somebody you know that gives you a break, practically giving it to you for a little bit of money. But you can't even, I mean, I'm not saying times are supposed to remain the same money-wise. What will it be 20 years from now? So for people who are suffering now or feeling as though they're not getting what they need, what will it be even 10 years from now? There will be fluctuations with inflation and money and stuff like that, but it's just going up, 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 up. Are wages going up? I don't think so. So that's my thing. So whatever you can do, if you can get your hand on something, keep it. Because what you pay is what you pay, especially if you have a fixed rate loan. If you come into some money, you know, get it cash. The biggest thing is the roof over your head. And if you're renting, that rent can always go up. You know, so the job, nah. You do well and you have a chance of an evaluation, depending on what it is on your job, every year, it could be quarterly. They give you 20 cents on a raise. But the insurance, the price of the insurance that comes out of your check went up higher. So you're sinking. $1, $2, whatever it may be. You got to look at the overall cost. And so this is why so many people are so disgruntled with work, because their soul is being snatched at the same time. There's no enthusiasm. You know, it's a 24-hour society also too, because it's not like, well, most people work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Still, it wasn't like that. You had cops, you had firemen, you had people, hospitals, but overall it was something fixed. But now with the computer age going on, you can work from home, you can work from anywhere, you could be somewhere in a different country. This world never stops. There's more pressure. And it's more pressure to pressure yourself to do more overtime. And I remember my days of doing overtime. When I worked in corrections, oh God. You know, there were about 6 or 7 of us different officers who were known for doing overtime. But they had a nickname for me. They always used to call me the overtime king, because it was like I lived in a jail. And I really, for a couple years, tried real hard. And I was doing it. But then it began to dawn on me, like, you're making more money, but then more reasons to spend it. That's where discipline comes in. But then things start going up, and you realize it's like trying to fill a bucket up with water that has a lot of holes in it. And the holes are pulling out the amount of water that you have in that bucket. And then you realize, hey, wait a second, I'm just filling this thing up, but I'm not getting anywhere. It's not getting full. So what do? Well, you have to control yourself. Pull back, watch your spending. It's so easy to spend money and blow money. If I gave you $1 million right now and say, here, I'm gonna give you $1 million now to spend, I'm gonna give you another $1 million to put in the bank. And you feel you can blow that first $1 million, which hopefully you all have the sense not to do that, but you'll find a way to get some of that money out of your hands. Me, I'll probably go somewhere and enjoy a nice sushi meal, pick up a few groceries, and come right on home. And take the other money that I have and put it back to keep it as $1 million. I'm in the old man phase now. I'm stingy with myself. I'm not even trying to spend nothing. I like staying home and I like saving my money. I don't worship money like that, but I'm not going to spend it on frivolous, stupid, draining things, especially since I'm out of the workforce and retired. But the fact of the matter is, there's a kind of slavery that wears no chains. It leaves no scars on the skin. It needs no guards or whips to keep you in place. It looks clean. It looks respectable. It wears a suit, carries a briefcase, and answers emails before sunrise. It goes to bed after midnight and calls that discipline. Its name is productivity. And see, we run the treadmill harder and harder, and we tell ourselves we're being productive, but you don't feel it. You don't feel it. You don't feel as though you're accumulating anything. The American dream is far away. And I know there are many people here who are from Nigeria, Ghana, Canada, the Caribbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Substack, my LANCESCURV X. So when I say the American dream, you understand what I mean. Because in each country, they have a version of wanting to get to a certain point of a quality of life. And usually America is the place many people want to go. But listen, y'all, if you're not in America, don't go. Don't go. Don't even waste your time. Unless you're on such a level that you can really accumulate and make money. But it's in the living conditions. But that's another discussion. But this slavery that I'm talking about, it hides behind words like ambition, dedication, and responsibility. It tells you that sacrifice is noble and exhaustion is proof of character. I remember when I worked at Home Depot and they would ask us to work extra hours. And we're like, oh yeah, we can get some overtime. And that supervisor who asked you to work those extra hours for a couple of days because they might have had a walk, and a walk is where the big wigs in the company come and walk the aisles of the store, make sure everything's in place, and you want to impress them to get high marks. Or for them to get high marks. It's for the supervisors to get bonuses. We weren't getting anything. And we would bust our chops. And at the end of that pay period or week, or before it was over, before it was over, right? Another supervisor would come, because that one who asked us to do the work, he wasn't in sight. Oh, we got to cut your hours. So I say, wait a second. You're not paying me anything for the extra work that I did to overextend myself. I'm looking forward toward the money. So you're gonna have me cut my hours? Oh, but you can go home early today. So I was tired that night, busting my behind here late so I can go home early. And I was anticipating what I was making. You see how they get you? Lance, would you like to stay and work extra? No. It wasn't mandatory, so I'm telling them no. You're not gonna stick me that way. And then the more you work and the more hours you have, the more taxes they take out. Isn't that something? But yes, sacrifice is noble and exhaustion is proof of character. I had a supervisor. Name was Mike, white guy. And he would hype us up. Oh, and he was a department manager. First line of defense. Oh, you guys are my warriors, man. I really admire you. You guys work so hard. Come on, man. That's slave talk. You had a bunch of slaves on the plantation and a so-called slave master. I bet you're the strongest one here, and I bet you can outlift that one. And now you got two slaves trying to prove how strong they are, and they're doing extra work. And the slave master's laughing because it's like, look at that. They're trying to prove something to me, like they're going to get a bonus, but they're not. Exhaustion, we think, is proof of character. It promises that if you give enough of yourself, freedom will eventually come. It tells you this is what grown life looks like. From a young age, you were told that hard work would save you, right? That you don't want to get caught up in anything illegal. Don't get into doing drugs or being a pimp or selling yourself or doing something illegal. You know, just wake up early, stay late, miss weekends, skip birthdays, push through sickness, delay rest, delay joy, delay life. To break it down, that's what it is. And many of us signed up for that hook, line, and sinker. All of it was sold as an investment in a future that would one day pay you back. Now, I know there are many successful people who listen to this channel. Many successful people who have never been here before who have stumbled on this particular podcast, video, audio, whatever you want to call it, chit chat. And I'm quite sure for those who consider themselves successful, you're living in a way that makes you very happy. Not just because of material goods, but because of the sense of accomplishment that we had, like I said in the beginning, when I started talking, we had that many decades ago. Proud in our job, proud in our identity, how it fit into society, how we can pay our bills. But most, are you really where you thought you would be? Even if you're doing well enough to pay your bills and have a little extra, are you really fulfilled with your life as it relates to your work? And I'm not trying to put anybody down, because me at 62 years old, almost 63, I should have been way by the way I was projecting. 30 years old wasn't going to come and I wasn't a multimillionaire. Well, that's more than half a lifetime ago. And I'm glad just to have a couple $1,000s in my hand. I'm doing stuff with it. I'm moving smart. But that dream that they sold you, or that itinerary or that method of attaining this good life that's going to pay you back? Most of us work so hard for so long, and the system counts on us dying because we gave so much and lived so imbalanced. There's so many people I know that have sold into this system, and they're dead. If they're alive right after retirement, soon the health problems come. I mean, we're going to leave this earth anyway by one way or another. We might just laugh ourselves to sleep one night and never wake up, right? I mean, we don't know. All I'm saying is that this game is rigged against us. And it was sold to us as an investment in a future that one day would pay you back. By a show of hands, I'm just saying that symbolically, I can't see you, but by a show of hands, how many people feel that you've been paid back? Or you're on your way for all that you've put out in this system, that you've been paid back? See what I mean? What they didn't tell you is that the ladder has no top. Every door opens into another hallway. Every goal moves further away once you reach it. The goalposts are moved. You run faster, work harder, and feel more tired, yet nothing truly changes. One day, you look back and realize you never moved forward at all. Not one bit. You just got older, more drained, more empty. That's when the dream starts to crack. And different people come to that realization at different times of their life. There's some people who are 20 years old, like, I ain't doing that. I'm doing my own thing. And that sense of urgency drives them because they don't want to measure out their lives in years. See, somebody asked me years ago, not too long, 3 or 4 years ago, Lance, you're at this point in your life now. You're not a dumb guy, but if you can do things different, what would you do? All over. I said, well, you know, I'm a flaming heterosexual. When I was younger, I was full of testosterone. I'd have to work on that because a lot of time was spent in the company of God's greatest creation, a woman. Other than that, I'd work really hard at an early age in something that I invest in, something that I do. Yes, you might work a job, but I would work harder doing that. But see, hindsight is 2020. I know now. We know the future, not the future from this point, but we know the future from, if you're of that age, whatever age you are, you know the future of 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. So it's easy to say what you would do. But I've always tried, but I didn't get it. You see what I mean? And I heard the Minister Louis Farrakhan say one time, it's sad that you get toward or in your retirement age and you realize what this life is all about. And really and truly, I mean, I'm not saying this about myself, about, oh, I'm on my way out of here. But at this age, I think I'm over the hump. I don't think I'm going to be here 500 years from now. So needless to say, I can look back and realize what this system is all about. Not just because of where I find myself, which for all I've been through and as many bullets that I've dodged, not literally, right? There's one incident when I was in that drop top driving with friends and there was a shootout going on and one guy on one side of the street and the other guy on the other side of the street, and bullets were flying over our head and we heard them zzz, zzz, but they weren't aimed at me. But symbolically, the bullets that we've dodged, the bullets that we've dodged that we didn't even know that we dodged. We've been blessed, but still the system is wicked and it ain't thinking about blessing you. You see what I mean? It's This system was designed to keep you moving without arriving. It teaches you that rest is weakness and stopping is failure. Every moment must be productive. Every breath must earn its keep. Even rest has to be justified. You can't even relax and not be tired, because if you're not tired, when you relax and sit down and enjoy a moment or a sunset or a conversation, because you're full of energy at that point, sometimes you feel guilty that you should be doing something. That was me for a long time. I had to be dropping down, sleeping, to feel that I was accomplishing. Now, if I had to get up the next day to go to work, that's a different thing. But I had this feeling that I had to be drained and worn out. And that's just my wiring. I mean, that had nothing to do with society, because when I was doing bodybuilding and training, I trained to failure. I trained till I was exhausted. I'd run till I can't run no more. I'd lift until, you know what I mean? So that was me. And some of us like that, you can translate that kind of discipline and give it to the workplace where they don't deserve it, because they're not going to go to bat for you. You have jobs where things happen and you have a supervisor that's supposed to go to bat for you in a misunderstanding, and they don't. The politics. Let's not even talk about that. You were told you're free, but only within strict limits. You can choose your job, but not your pace. You can choose your lifestyle, but not your workload. You can choose your chains as long as they're invisible. And invisible chains are the most effective ones, because you don't feel their weight until you try to leave. The bad part about it is the system doesn't force you. It convinces you. It shows you images of success, houses, cars, trips, status, and calls that happiness. It seduces you. It tells you all of it is possible if you just work a little harder. And you do. 40 hours becomes 50. 50 hours becomes 60. 70 hours becomes normal. I mean, even still, the imagery is what gets me. So now, like, you're working hard. This is like off the beaten path for a second. Back in the day when we had newspapers and we look at the newspaper, the Sunday news, and they had the housing section, you know, homes for sale, little section, and you look through it. And what did you see? You saw a family. Everybody's smiling. The father, the mother, the daughter, the son, maybe more kids than that. Hell, even the dog was smiling. And you had this big house behind them. The pride of homeownership. This is how they get you. And you're like, oh, wow, look at that. That can be me. And we have our house and we'll be happy until that first mortgage payment comes. You know, I mean, smart people know what to do. I'm not saying it's all bad. But they sell you on the image. But it's not all that. Because you got to work for that. And when you're working for that, guess what? Now you're under pressure. You got a supervisor who doesn't like you, who's going to try to fire you. And in the back of your mind, you have that car note. You got that mortgage note. And you got to literally take what he dishes out, kiss his behind, because you don't want to lose that job. Hopefully none of us have been in that situation, and that's not everybody. But it can get to that point. You're about to leave. Oh, I don't want to go to work today. I'm going to find a reason to call out. And even when you're actually sick, I don't know if you're actually sick and you're happy sick, because I can't go in. So you're coughing and sneezing, trying to sound terrible when you call in, and you have to bring a doctor's note in. But you're legitimately sick and you're like, at least I ain't got to go in this week. And you can still get written up for that. The numbers rise. But the balance never works, because an exhausted worker doesn't question. An indebted worker doesn't resist. A worker afraid of losing their job accepts almost anything. Debt becomes the leash. Credit becomes control. You are allowed to have things now as long as you pay forever. What you end up with is a life that looks good on screen but feels empty in real time. A house you barely enjoy. A car that takes you to work and back, and that's it. Clothes that dress a tired body. Objects filling space where meaning used to live. How shallow. There was a time when work had soul. People created things they could touch and recognize. There was pride, connection, and purpose. See what I told you? That time faded when humans became replaceable parts in a machine built for endless growth. Endless growth for who? Not you. Now you don't create, you execute. You don't build, you meet targets. You don't leave a legacy. You hit numbers that must always rise, even in a world with limits. When something breaks, the system says the problem is you. A thankless system. Modern work doesn't just want your time. It wants your attention, your thoughts, your dreams. It wants your soul. It wants you thinking about deadlines at night and metrics in the morning. It wants loyalty without protection, availability without security. Here you are on your day off, if you even have one. You're enjoying yourself. What is he calling me from? It's the supervisor of the job. Oh, about that deadline. We did hit the deadline, but I want to ask you something about the project we're going to be doing. That. Yo, I'm home. I'm on the beach. Excuse me, I'm having sex. Can I have an orgasm without you bothering me? Come on now. You may physically be off the job, but you get the feeling that, hey, these invisible chains, they kind of own me. I don't want it to be that way, but why am I feeling this way? That's what makes it harder for you to go into work. I started saying the term, the plantation. I was calling the job the plantation. I don't know if I coined that phrase, but all the people I know, I'm the one who first used it. And even back then, when I was working, I was like, listen, I got to go into the plantation today. Everybody knows what that means. And it's not just a black-white thing. White folks go to the job that I've known. Lance, I'm going to be going to the plantation tomorrow. So in the system, everybody's a damn slave. They call you a collaborator, but you're not a partner. You're just a resource. And when numbers don't add up, the relationship ends without warning. No ceremony, no gratitude, just a message and a return badge. You go into work one day thinking everything's okay, but because of some miscalculation or maybe something unexpected, you didn't know that you might be leaving before lunch, going to your locker, clearing your desk if you have that kind of job, and now your whole world is turned upside down. You know, with the pressure that many of us have in America, even though I'm not in America anymore, I know it well, and I'm truly equipped to talk about it. I can understand why people come back with a vendetta, with revenge in their heart because of these people called employers that are heartless, that they already know you're doomed. They had meetings already 2 months ago, and they knew they were going to fire you. But they never told you to the last minute. They don't care about your obligations or your family. Now you got to scramble for another job. You see, one to the other. And you're coming from one plantation into another, and you got to do what you got to do. Listen, I can't knock anybody who does something illegal. I don't condone it. And I don't condone anything that you do illegal that hurts someone else. Let's get that straight. But there's a lot of little things that people play on the system to get it back. And I know a lot of things. I've been taught by the best when I worked in those jails and prisons and just in life. But I know I'm not trying to get caught up in anything, so I steer clear of a lot of things. But society, technology is tightening up. It's tightening up. But the cruel truth is this: the more you work, the less you have. Not just money, but time, health, presence, life itself. Hours are traded for wages. And you know what? Hours never come back. They're gone forever. Children grow without you. Parents age without visits. Friends drift away. Life moves on while you stay busy. And one day, you realize the contract was never fair. You gave everything and received just enough to return the next day. They call this merit. They say those at the top earned it. They ignore birth, luck, inheritance, and access. They sell the exception as proof that the system works, while hiding the many who broke trying. They don't talk about those. You were told to be resilient, to adapt, to optimize, to fix your mindset to be a winner or a fool. As if the system is healthy and you're broken. See, something's wrong with you. The system's perfect. That's what they'll tell you or insinuate. Therapy treats symptoms. Medication numbs pain. No one questions why so many people are exhausted, anxious, and burned out. But that's proof of how efficient the American system, and I'm saying American, you can say the UK, whatever, I'm saying American, I know that system. Because admitting the system is sick would mean it must change. And change threatens those who profit from things staying the same. So exploitation is rebranded. Offices get brighter. Language gets softer. But the pressure remains. Just like I said, change threatens those who profit from things staying the same. I saw something on YouTube really quick. It was a YouTube short. Popped up, I opened up YouTube. I was going to do something in there on the back end. And they spoke about these inventors who their inventions threaten to change the world as it is with electricity and fuel. I forgot the names. I'm quite sure you heard of these guys. I know Tesla's one of them, where, you know, his demise came because of his innovations, which threaten the world of those who wanted to keep things the same because they'll profit from it. Let me tell you something. If you invent something that's going to revolutionize, say electricity, where it becomes free, or a car that can drive off of water, do you think the people who are profiting from fuel, gas, engines, you think they want to see that? They're not going to make any more money. They know these things exist. There's technology. Could you imagine? This is off the topic, but I want to say it. There's technology out there right now that the so-called powers that be, I'll use a broad brush to say that. They know it exists. They know they could change. They know we don't have to have it as hard, but it keeps us in a position of servitude and it keeps them on top. I see it. I don't know who those people are on top, But I know this constant stress and the sucking of our souls benefits them, and they don't give a damn. They're not nice people. They can show up on your job and they're higher up and they smile and, we're doing good, and as a company and you're part of the company, we're a family, and get the hell out of here. Because when they want to get rid of you when they're done, I'm not knocking men, but it's like that guy who tells you as a woman that he loves you, and all he wants to do is get them private parts. He's not thinking about nothing else. And here you go. I'm not making fun of you, but many women have had this happen in different stages, in different ways. And you believed in this man wholeheartedly. And you realize that that's all it was. But that's the way these jobs do. You're told you can get rich by working harder. But wealth doesn't come from labor. It comes from ownership. But they're not going to tell you that in school. Workers trade time. That's it. Owners multiply value while sleeping. Time is limited. Capital is not. That's why crumbs feel like progress while the loaf grows out of reach. That is why failure feels personal when it is structural. It's not you. You've been dropping sweat, being loyal. No, it's not you. That is why guilt replaces clarity. If you internalize this thing and thinking you're the failure, it's your fault, and you don't realize the system is set up for that. So those of us who get to certain ages in our life, and in the back of our mind, we start to look back and say, I could have did a little more. You take that pressure off of you. The system is set up for you. Like you're going to go and take a swim in quicksand and think you're going to pull yourself out. The real question is never asked. What is all this for? Why trade health for things that don't satisfy? Why sacrifice years for objects that don't fill the emptiness? But the advertisements out there, you get paid, and even when you're not paid, you see these billboards on the side of the highway. You go to the big supermarkets and see other things that you can't afford at that time, but now it's in the back of your mind. You're on your smartphone. There are ads all over Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You can't get away from it. You're bombarded with the fact that you don't have the newest things. So you're made to feel empty. I don't care. I don't care. I never really cared. I'm really not a materialistic person. I'm really not. So coming out the box that way, having some sense from being raised a certain way, there are things that I may have wanted, like, okay, I'm into doing what I do with the podcasting. So I got some nice equipment, but even this is getting older. But I'm not going to get seduced into something that's rebranded and repackaged to look like it can be a ship to fly you to the moon, which I'm not trying to go there, but they make it seem so different. No. I'll work with what I have until it breaks. I'm happy and content. I ate some fruit today. I had some other things, little brown rice, seasoned it up nice, went out and got some sun, walked around. I didn't leave the house today. I'm probably not going to leave until Wednesday. I don't know. Sometimes I stay on this property for a week and a half and don't even go out in the street. That's not just control, that's contentment, right? Something I could do now that I couldn't do before. But even then, when I was working, I maximized the time. I have different ways of doing that, and I'll explain that in a different conversation. But nobody, think about it this way. Anybody that you know that knew they were going to transition, pass away, no one wishes they worked more at the end of life. Like, oh, I know I got a few more days before I'm out of here. I'm not making fun of anybody's situation, but oh boy, if I did more overtime, I would be better off. No, you know what? They wish they lived more, loved more, noticed more, laughed more, stopped running without knowing why. Right? Notice more. Notice the sunset. Notice the breeze going across you. Take time. Like I said yesterday, or in the previous video that I did. Take a walk and not know where the heck you're going. Take a walk with no destination. Hop on a bus and not know where you're going. I'm not saying take a bus out of state. Within your city, within your, take a walk and look to help somebody. You walk down the street, you see a guy lifting, I'm not saying this for the ladies, I'm just saying you see a guy, then the side of it say, hey man, you need help with that? Hey, yeah, thank you. You know how good that feels? You know how good that feels to give somebody a compliment? Notice the work that they put into themselves. You see a lady with nice hairstyle, that hairstyle really looks nice on you. In a decent way. And walk away, don't stare in her face, she'll think you're a pervert or something, somebody's stalking her, you know what I mean? But just give. And when you give, you can receive. Because once you open your hand to give something, it doesn't mean money, but just a good feeling. Engage yourself with life. Now I have to see if these guys are coming tomorrow. I'm waiting for a phone call. They got some work to do, but they may not come tomorrow. I found that out before I started this conversation. So if they don't come tomorrow, well, I'm going to be eating my sushi tomorrow. Yes, I am. I might get 2 orders and stuff my face and can't finish the second half and bring that half home. I'm going to talk to people that I don't know. I'm going to make somebody laugh. I'm going to exchange phone numbers with a person or two that may have a common interest. I may go by the art supply store and start talking with somebody about the same thing that I'm interested in. That, is that a good product? So and so and so. Show me. Oh, you're an artist too? Really? I do a little bit of that. Expand your horizons. You see what I mean? Live more, love more, notice more, laugh more. Stop running without knowing why. This is the tragedy. We trade what matters for what doesn't and realize it too late. The system keeps you busy enough not to think. You're numb, tired enough not to question. Your mind is paralyzed and indebted enough not to stop. Because in the back of your mind, I got these bills to pay. I got these bills to pay. Well, certain bills, you shouldn't have put yourself in the line of debt to have to pay them in the first place, because maybe it was something that you thought was so pleasurable or so luxurious or so, I'm good with what I have. Because one day, you're going to buy a car, or maybe the car you have now, and that might be your last vehicle. Why do we get vehicles? I'm just using it as an example. We got a car and we're thinking, my next car is going to be... Why can't that car be your next car by taking care of it and loving it? We don't say, when I get my next heart or my next kidneys or my next lungs. No, because that's all you got. So you want to take care of it. And a lot of people don't. We're more concerned about taking care of our car than we are our bodies. And we don't take care of our bodies, we're not going to feel good. That's a whole nother topic. But we'll dog ourselves to work all of those hours on the job, get stressed, get anxiety, and find ourselves in a bar drinking alcohol, poisoning ourselves. What's up with that? There's choices, but it's up in our face so much we can't breathe. But there is another way. It doesn't promise luxury. It offers life. Less noise, less debt, less hurry, less illusion, and more time, more presence, more truth. Freedom is not having everything. That's that little kid mentality. You go into the candy store, you're gonna get all the candy. You get a big bag of candy and you're leaving all the other candy behind, and you think you don't have much. Freedom is not having everything. It's needing little. Success is not winning a game that destroys you. It's refusing to play. I'm gonna say that again. I've been saying it in my last conversations, but yeah, there's certain points I got to stress. Let's say this again. Success is not winning a game that destroys you. It's refusing to play. Yes, we have to earn money while in this system. But why are we going to go so far down the pike that we're going to try to win a game that's killing you? For what? Real freedom begins when you question what you were taught. We accept things so fast. See? What religion are you? I'm a Christian. Why? Because I was born in a Christian home. What religion are you? I'm a Muslim. Why? Because my parents are Muslims. We just accept everything. Why are you working so many hours? Well, that's the way I was taught to. You got to do better. You got to work more. When you ask whether your work builds you or consumes you, when you notice how much of your life is being sold without your consent, you're selling yourself without your consent. Even a prostitute on the street knows, if I sell you this piece of backside I got here that you've been looking at driving around the corner 50 million times, I'm going to get X amount of money for you to extract this carnal pleasure. But we sell ourselves to these jobs and into the system and haven't really consented. But it hurts to see clearly. Letting go of the illusion feels like loss. But staying asleep costs you far more. The pain of waking up is temporary. The pain of regret lasts forever. The pain of waking up is temporary. The pain of regret lasts forever. But many of us think we're not going to get to that point. When we start looking back on our life more than we start looking forward. Thank the Creator, I have a mindset where even if right now is my last moment, I'm looking forward. And you have to have something to look forward to. But if you're regretting the bad decisions and how you've given your life to a job or a relationship or whatever it may be, without any return, you can say you're okay, but those emotional scars often go unseen, but you're feeling it in the midnight hour. Life does not need to be earned through suffering. Rest is not failure. Presence is not laziness. Choosing enough is not quitting. That beautiful word, enough. Enough. When you go to fill your cup with water, do you keep on pouring the water and it's falling all down the sides, on the side of the table, on the ground? No, you know when to say enough. You're only going to live but so many years. When do you say enough is enough? When? The most powerful rebellion is personal. The moment you decide your life is worth more than a paycheck, that your time is sacred, that your existence is not a resource for somebody else to use, turning you into a prostitute of sorts. Ask yourself honestly, who is buying your life? And why do you keep signing the receipt and thinking that signing the dotted line is the way to go? I know we're not birds. I know we're not squirrels. But go out to the park if you live in the city, or go out into the country. You don't have to go to the country to see birds. The birds are living in a whole different system. I never went to a job and walked up to the punch clock and see a couple of birds flying in. So, oh, how you doing, Lance? Can you punch for me? You know, I got wings, I don't have a hand. No, they're taken care of by nature, by the Creator. They live in a different system. And many of us don't strive to live in that system. Anybody that knows me knows for the past few decades, I've been talking about leaving America and going elsewhere. I wasn't able to do it when I first started talking about it, but at least I knew what was on my immediate menu of the meal of what I planned to eat. I was aware of that. And there are many who I know now who have done successful by the standards of what the American dream dictates. They did it right. And they were rewarded, yes. So they're not gonna take my words as a person who's suffering. And I applaud them because they actually had discipline and restraint in their life, and they knew when to say enough. But their cup overflowed. And while I say in the present day, you have to have additional options that you create for yourself. Because just walking the straight and narrow, the way America dictates, from when you first go into school, and here you are in school in class trying to be the best student, trying to answer the most questions. I know I was always trying to raise my hand to show the teacher I knew what I was talking about. And so she said, "Oh, Lance, don't worry about it. I know you know." That was the most gratifying feeling, like, oh yes, I'm elevated now. You know I know. You want to pass your test with 100. This is training you. Yes, you should strive for excellence, of course. But it's grooming you for that boss, for that supervisor. Then the bell rings, ding, ding, ding. And now you're off to your next class. And you're making sure now, I'm not gonna waste any time in the hallway. I might run to the bathroom real quick and sip some water from the fountain, but I'm gonna make sure to have my butt in the seat before the teacher gets there, before the time ends. I don't wanna walk in there late. And you feel good about that. First grade, or kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade. I felt good in elementary school because I was always in 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, 6. The 1 classes were the ones that really were like the smartest kids. If you were in 1-1, like you're the smartest one. I didn't go to kindergarten. I went to the Head Start program. That put me way ahead. That's something that President Lyndon Johnson implemented, right? I benefited from that. But having parents in the home, and my mother was an educator and my father had his own business, and they had time to spend with me. But I was proud of that. But that's a form of submission. I'm not saying go to school and not learn and start fights, and no. But it's grooming you for the workforce, where you're a resource and you don't have to think for yourself. You have to think for that job, think for that company, but not think for yourself. It's almost a crime to think for yourself. And when you think about doing something outside of the umbrella of job, don't tell it to anybody on that job. Even if you're kind of close, keep it to yourself, because it's gonna strike fear in their hearts. I'm thinking about opening up my own business. And we know people talk that a lot because they want to sound good. I have my own business. And they're not making nothing. I'm not being negative because some people are. I'm not trying to kill your feeling to want to have your own business, right? But when you say this, what's the first thing you're going to hear people say? What are you going to do if it don't work out? They're already thinking about failing before they even get to that point, or you even get to that point. They don't know how well you planned. Many people don't, and they do fail. But this could be something that you'd like to do, whether you are making much money or not. Something that you're an expert in that many people don't know about. Spread your wings and flap them bad boys. Don't let the system make you afraid to fly high. Be a bird. Fly above. We're in our little cubicles. Even if you don't have a cubicle that's there for you at work with that kind of job, you might be a truck driver, bus driver, I don't know, you might work retail. But it is a cubicle. Why? Say you work 5 days a week, if you're lucky these days, right? You get up, you get ready, you drive or you walk to the public transportation, you get to work, you finish, You come back, you're stuck. You might be in a big, beautiful city. And maybe on the weekend, you'll take a walk out and go downtown or go to a nice restaurant or whatever have you. But for the most part, you are in prison, physically and mentally. So we have the mental, the physical, and the spiritual. You choke off two, your spirit's not feeling right. Now they want to make smart cities. Smart cities where everything is only 15 minutes away. That sounds good. But you need to know that if you want to go here or there or anywhere, you can do it. Me? If those guys don't come to do the work tomorrow, I'm out. I'm gonna keep a little camera with me, and I have my phone with me to record something if I need to, but I'm out. I know I want to get some sushi. But other than that, like I said, I'm talking to people. I'm going to be laughing. I'm going to be playing some music in my earphones and enjoying life, free, doing what I need to do. And if you can live like that in the system and trick the system back and not buy the lies, then you're on your way to have a foothold to breaking free. But become that bird. I've seen many inmates speak to me about that. They're looking outside and they're looking at the birds. They say, look how free the bird is. You know? And I had a conversation with a guy who was locked up. And we went deep. A lot of smart people are locked up, you know. It's not just thuggish, ignorant, you know, menacing, whatever. And I said, the birds are free. But look at the people who feel they're free, but they're not. They're not free. And I've seen people who were actually locked up already for years and had more years to do. And I'm gonna say it, maybe you can't understand it, but some of them were more free than they ever were. Why? Because they understood about life and how they were enslaved mentally before, when they were in the outside world, that landed them in incarceration. And they knew the amount of time that they had to do. I know a guy who had 10 more years to do, and he's like, I'm planning for when I physically get out, but I'm already free. Because getting locked up freed me from my own ignorance. Imagine that. You ever thought about that? It's not just he got locked up. No, some of us get locked up, and it's a good thing because it frees us up from our own ignorance in negative ways. And some people learn and they think. And how many of us have heard this one? Man, nobody wants to go to jail or go to prison. But check this out. If I was out there, I wouldn't be alive now. So I'm not saying go out and do a crime and get locked up, right? No, nobody, you don't want to do that. I worked in them situations, you don't want to do that, trust me. But there's a lesson to be learned from those who've come to that conclusion. And like I said, it all depends how you look at it. But again, like I said, you don't want to get to a certain point in life and feel regret that you didn't do the things that you truly desired from within your heart. And now that even I have more time, there's no pressure like a job, but I'm a happy little kid. I'm like, yes, I can do this, I can do that, and I'm gonna do it until I drop. I might not get it all done, but it's a joy in pursuing these things, as opposed to sitting down, looking at a pile of bills, and my spirit is beat. Nah, I'm recharging, replenishing, and I'm ready. And again, like I said, I do a thing called music therapy, that when I want to get myself in a certain mood, I always wake up in good spirits, but when I play music from the past, or when I was in a certain place, around certain friends. And many of my friends, we have the same overlapping songs because we enjoyed each other's company and have inside jokes with some of these songs. So if I send a friend a song on WhatsApp, send him a YouTube video on WhatsApp, he'll start making comments about what that song meant because we have overlapping experiences. I'm about to do it now because I have to get ready for Brother Neil Frazier Metamorphosis. By the time you hear me say this, you probably already have seen that show or seen it posted. But I'm gonna play some music and I'm gonna get into it. And it's sometimes I forget where I am and I'm gone with it. And I'm just so happy from those nuggets of sweet times that I've had. Not that my present time is sorry. I'm happy right now. I'm happy right now. So work on yourself, work on your mind, take control of your mind, take control of your destiny. You may not be able to change certain things right now, but when you realize the situation you're in, that's the first step to breaking free. Make your plans. Get out of this system. Even if you can't get out of it right now, fantasize. Everything that you see around you physically is the product of a thought. That flagpole outside, somebody thought about it, right? The spoon you're using to eat food and the fork, somebody thought about it. And they didn't get it right the first time. It took a few attempts, more or less, until they got it. So visualize the life that you want. It may take time. It may be a winding road that will take twists and turns that are unexpected, but you can get there. Look, you can miss your exit on the highway. You can get off on the next exit and backtrack and get to where you're supposed to go. That's how life is. It's a wonderful thing. I hope that I've inspired you, made you think. Of course, you know I love to talk your ears off. I'm gonna get ready to take a second shower, play some music. You all know I can't sing, but I'll be singing my heart out. And I'm getting ready for the next episode with Brother Neil Frazier. And that's gonna be a fabulous show. And my fellowship here with you really enlightens my life. The responses, the other perspectives, even if they don't agree with mine, it's cool. We're growing together, we're going together. Every day is a chance for progression. And please never forget that. No matter where you find yourself in life, every day is a new chance, right? Trust me, I've been through a lot. I may not have been through certain types of poverty, or I've been broke a lot in my life. There's times I had money, there was times I'm broke. But emotional stuff, betrayals and realizations of intentions around me, I can write 1,000,000 books on that. And that's why I like to talk about these things. But anyway, it's always love. I do this from the heart. And I hope you get something from it. Because one day I'll be gone and these words will still be here. So that's another reason why. Like children and grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren can hear their old father, grandfather, great-grandfather speak. So we use technology for a good thing, putting out good vibrations. That's what it's all about. The investment in the future, even if I'm not here, it'll still carry on. And that's a beautiful thing. Look, I'm gonna shut up after this. But even when you say you want to be a millionaire, think in terms of generations ahead of you. You can start it. Your offspring, your children can continue it, even if they're not from your loins. You can start something now that goes into the future beyond you. Isn't that beautiful? I can draw a picture or paint a picture that'll be seen long after I'm gone. Like I always say, Michael Jackson is gaining fans that are not even born yet. They'll love his music and then they're not even born yet. They're not even conceived yet. Project into the future. You have the power to do that. Anyway, I'm going to shut up right now. It's always good to talk to you. I'm on to the next one, getting ready for the next show. Like, share, and subscribe. I never asked it all the time, but the last thing I'll say, like I've always been saying, go to LANCESCURVX.com and put in your email address to be able to get everything that we do on this platform. LANCESCURVX.com. I'll make sure to put that on the banner. Make sure to do that, and you'll always get in your mailbox everything that I do. Okay? Much love to you all. It's always lovely. Thank you so much for lasting this long. Peace.